The old woman sat in her rocking chair on the porch, her eyes blank and staring. She hadn't always been this way. In fact, she hadn't always been Agnes at all. Decades ago, she'd been a spirited young woman named Annie who'd moved to this town with her husband, Thomas. They'd bought this very house, fixed it up and made it their own. And then one day Annie had gone missing. The townspeople had searched for her, but they'd found nothing. No trace of her, not a single clue as to what could have happened to her. Some said she'd run off with a secret lover. Others claimed she'd met with foul play, but the truth was far more sinister. After Annie's disappearance, Thomas had moved away, but he'd return every year on the anniversary of her vanishing, hoping to find her or at least find out what had happened to her. He'd talked to the same sheriff for 38 years, hoping for a break in the case, but the old lawman had nothing to go on. It wasn't until Thomas's 76th birthday that he got his answer. He was sitting on the porch swing when the sheriff approached him. The old man looked up, his face creased with age and worry. "I'm sorry it's taken so long," the sheriff said, "but we finally got a hit on Annie's Doe network. Her dental records matched those of a Jane Doe found in a remote area of Beartooth County." Thomas felt a surge of hope, quickly followed by a crushing wave of despair. "What does it mean, Sheriff? Is she still alive?" The old man's voice trembled. "I'm afraid not, Mr. Hayes. The remains were too decomposed to tell, but we believe she's dead." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Thomas stood by his late wife's grave, his heart heavy with grief. All these years he'd held on to hope, but now the truth had caught up with him and there was no escaping it. He was truly alone now, a widower at last. Just then, a crow landed on the headstone, its black eyes gleaming in the twilight. Thomas shuddered, suddenly aware of how dark it was getting. The shadows stretched long and distorted around him. Was that a twig that had snapped? Or was something else out there in the gathering gloom? Fear, cold and clammy, gripped his heart. What if Annie hadn't died? What if she was out there, watching him, waiting for him to turn his back so she could strike? He turned to flee, but it was too late. A hand, skeletal and gnarled, clamped over his mouth, stifling his scream. More hands joined the first, pulling him down into the darkness. Thomas struggled, kicking and clawing, but it was no use. They were too strong for him. They dragged him to the grave, to the cold, dark hole that had been Annie's prison all these years. And now it was going to be his, too.